The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Fall River's preliminary election is on November 4th, and we're meeting as many candidates as possible so you can make informed decisions when you go to the ballot box on that day. I'm pleased to be joined today by incumbent City Councilor Linda Pereira, who has served in that position for well over 20 years. Councilor, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me, and thank you to FRCMedia for allowing this forum. I appreciate it.
So let me ask you, we recorded a statement from you like we do for all candidates every year. 24 years. I guess the first question is people must ask you every 2 years, why come back? Why run again?
I look at my role as being a servant to the people, if that makes sense. You're there to help people. And I think all my life I've done that. My career has always been to help people. And I really enjoy helping people. And I thought this year, maybe we've done enough, But then when I told people, I'm not sure, they were like, are you kidding me? You need to do it. We can always contact you. We call City Hall. They give us your cell phone number. Of course, because I tell them, somebody calls and needs to speak with me, give them my cell phone number. I just believe that you are not just a city councilor who goes to council meetings every other Tuesday and sits on whatever committee, but that there's more to do. There's more interaction. It's not the same as it was when I started. When I started and you went to an event, your colleagues were all there. But with Facebook, people can watch things at home on different podcasts or different events that are going on that are televised. They don't need to go because you can watch it at home. And I just think that it's very depressing for me to not see enough of people who have interest in government to run for city council or school committee. I mean, I always voted with my parents the day that I was eligible to vote. You had 50, 60 people running for city council. I mean, we can't get more than 14, 15.
Yeah.
It's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Because if you feel that you can do more, you can give something to the city, you can give something to your community, do it. Run. Get out there. Help us.
Yeah. Let me ask you, in terms of the dynamics of being a city councilor, the job itself really hasn't changed over the years.
Oh, the job hasn't changed. The job hasn't changed, but people have changed. I find that people are less able to compliment and more able to criticize. I mean, we're doing all of Bedford Street, for example, ripped apart all the sidewalks, putting in all new sidewalks, basically, the whole right side of Bedford Street. It needs that. And somebody takes a picture of sidewalks with the dirt all in upheaval. Oh, look, this is a mess. Well, have you ever painted something in your house? Have you ever remodeled something? Doesn't things get messy before they get better? You have to dig it up. So rather than say, this is great, we have this done, I think Facebook turns a lot of people away from wanting to become involved because it's not only you, it's your family members. They'll bring up, my kids are used to it. Shelley's on the school committee. Although I guess her skin isn't as tough as mine, she doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But at least she gave it a shot, and I'm proud of her for having done that.
What do you feel have been your biggest accomplishments in office? I know you mentioned in the statement constituent services is huge. Always huge. That should be for every councilor, correct?
That's key. And now that we have Leo gone, he'll call me and say, hey, guess what? But no, and I still stay in contact with other individuals who served on the council with me or who were former mayors. When I have a question on something or I'm really torn on an issue, I don't have a problem reaching out to other people who've experienced things and talking to them about it. I've had some really great mentors along the way. Jack Medeiros was a great mentor. Al's phenomenal mentor. And I think that's important because those are the kinds of people that, want to help. Carlton Pereira's former mayor, great mentor.
Yeah.
If I have a problem and I call, at least he listens. When he'll say, I think you're on the right track, or, that's usually what he says. I think you're on the right track. I don't think he wants to disappoint me, but you reach out to people. Ray Mitchell, I speak to. I speak to Danny Rigo when it's a construction thing I have a question about.
Yeah.
Reach out to people. I just wish more people would get involved, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about issues. As you said, the job hasn't changed. Constituent services are the same. Issues tend to rise up on the level of importance depending on the year or depending on the election season. What have you been focusing on recently, and what do you hope to focus on over the next couple of years?
We really need to focus on trash. We have tried a per unit fee per year. We've looked at the bags. We've looked at, right now we're going out for another contract. And, some people will say the city should run that operation. Well, all of the trucks are gone. Those trucks are going to cost a lot of money for us to get back in that business. And you have to look at the wages of workers and the benefit package, the sick days, the vacation time, the retirement plan, the health insurance. You have to look at all of that as well. But they are putting something out. And then I spoke to somebody and they said, I have a 6-family home, but I have one individual living in each of my apartments. I have one recycle bin and I have one trash bin, and it works every week for us. But if there's a 6-family home where there's 4 people living in each unit, or they need more barrels, why not charge per barrel? That's another idea. And I think that's the kinds of things I like hearing from constituents. That could be another direction that we look at. There was also, I forgot what it was called, a jabbager or whatever. It's this big machine that you can buy. You can literally put a coach through it and it mulches it down to nothing. But everything is getting expensive. But I think trash needs to be resolved. We just spent $3 million more on trash. And people need to learn how to recycle, but Jesus, the recyclers aren't getting the revenue that we thought they would get. I mean, years ago, I wanted to have Casella come in to Industrial Park and put a single-stream recycling where they would separate everything, and they would have taken our recyclables for 20 years for nothing. I couldn't even get it on the floor of the council. I think today, in retrospect, maybe we would. It's things like that.
Yeah. No appetite at all for, in your mind, in terms of fees or bags coming back in Fall River?
I don't know what they're going to do. They have to come out and give us the options on everything, what the options are. One of the problems was when we had bags, all of the drive-thrus, and you go through Wendy's, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, all the barrels that were near the drive-thru, they took them all away because people were dumping their trash there. And then when we didn't have the bags, when we stopped the bags, the tonnage in the south end and the north end really increased. And people who may live in a suburb but own a house here or have a family member who's here, they don't want to pay for bags. They bring their trash here. So our tonnage has skyrocketed. That's concerning. And I think that, you need to look at all options. Honestly, I'd love to see a regional approach because that's going to be a problem for everybody. And I think as a community, we should be looking at regional approaches on many of our services. We were talking about it Tuesday night with sewerage and water and, selling water and regionalizing. People kind of have to work together. And I know that people in the city are having it tough. I know. But government is having it just as tough because everybody wants more money. Things cost a lot more money. It's not easy for anyone. It trickles right down.
Yeah. Housing has been a big issue here over the past couple of election cycles in Fall River. I know in the mayoral forums that we heard during the preliminary election, there's talk about what a mayor can do. Is there really much a local politician can do, maybe a mayor more than a city councilor, to help with with rents and cost of living in terms of housing?
I think that Fall River has a lot of low-income housing. We've done our share. I wish that our surrounding communities would do their share. How many low-income housing locations are in Somerset, in Swansea, in Westport, in Dartmouth? Like we have a homeless shelter. I mean, I met a woman and she was throwing something out. We started talking and she said she was homeless. She lived in Dartmouth. And I said, oh. She said, and now I have to come to this dump of a city. I said, well, wait a minute. You're coming to this city? Then you should be advocating in Dartmouth for them to put in a homeless shelter there.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've done our share. Other people need to start doing their share as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of the homelessness that we see, I know income and affordability of apartments, it's high, but lead out here towards Boston area and other, it's more expensive. But it's still expensive based on the salaries that people make.
Yeah.
You're kind of in a catch-22, and then you see homelessness. But I will tell you, we don't have homeless families that are living on the street with children. And we've done a phenomenal job at giving supports to homelessness. But, some people don't want the help. They just don't want the help. And I think that that's a state issue. Some people have mental health issues. And we don't have the facilities like Taunton State, like Paul Dever, like the one in Fox. We don't have those. But it's needed. Unfortunately, there's some people who can't manage for themselves and need assistance. And I think that that's something the state should be looking at.
Yeah. Public safety is always on the minds of everyone here in Fall River. We're still grieving over the Gabriel House fire. There's been movement there in terms of staffing for the fire department, police department. Again, in speaking with the chiefs over the past few years ago, it used to be you had the potential recruits but not the money. Now the police department actually has money but less recruits. How can a city councilor or city council help with improving public safety in any way other than budgetary?
You really have to help budgetary-wise. That's the way that we help them. I'm certainly, not a police officer, but I have been out with police officers on many occasions through both my previous employments, and their job is not easy. And when you look at the fact that there's a lot of drugs coming into the city, and some of the drugs that are coming in, now they're using a lot of meth, and that changes a person's personality, behavior. So, if they start lashing, if there's a problem, you need additional manpower. And even when you go to the academy, it still takes time. When you graduate from the academy, you partner up with someone for a certain amount of time before that officer can be out on the street. But this chief has created some different groupings and created it where teams work together. And she's got the DEA back in here and the FBI and state police, et cetera. So we're trying to, again, talking about regionalization, it's bringing that all together, getting a team approach to things. But, and our crime rate, as crazy as it sounds, it's better than it was before. But it's still not good.
Yeah.
But look at the man that got shot yesterday. I mean, you're on a stage giving a speech. I don't care whether you agree with his positions or not. But somebody shoots him in the neck, 31 years old, dead. When is the federal government going to do something about gun control?
Yeah.
And I think people should have guns. I have a gun. I'm licensed to carry because what the job my husband had, he had a gun, and if it's there, I want to be licensed. But it's secured, it's locked up, and I certainly am not going to just walk around with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that we have to look at that.
Yeah. I want to switch to city finances. Over the past few years, the city's budget has gone up over $200 million. A lot of it goes toward education, and the city side has to, put in its fair share. While people, you hear it at public comment period when it comes to budget time, taxes going up, water, sewer fees going up. Where's that line between making sure the residents have great services and, the need to pay for it versus trying to help them, with their taxes.
That line gets thinner and thinner. Like I said, everything is going up in my own household. I mean, I can't believe how, gas prices are jumping up. I think we received a letter and it was like $78 more per month on your gas bill. Average was what we were going to have to pay. But the city faces the same thing. When I look at electric bills and all these surcharges that are on an electric bill, then I say, hey, how can you at the state be allowing these things? And it's really not our reps, because it's a Department of Public Utilities. And who appoints them? What are they doing? But just like everything rises, so does the cost of water. The cost of the chemicals that are used in the water to keep water safe, that's all gone up. We have to pay for that. Mm-hmm. And then DEP will come down and say, well, now you have to look for this in the water or that. Mr. Ferlin gave a whole exercise of that, of the difference in what prices are. It's tough. And you have to pay good people to do a good job. Here we have a city that the mayor gets paid $116,000. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is your job. Look around at other communities. So who wants to be mayor? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the pay that he has, I know, that goes back into the community with donations to different organizations and things like that. So he's not complaining, and I'm not saying that because I've heard the mayor complain. I have not. But, when you look at that, you've got the police chief, the fire chief, the superintendent of schools. They're all making more than the mayor. But their jobs are important, and you have to have people that know the job to do the job. A CFO, we need a CFO. We had someone as an interim, very nice person, but you need a CFO, in my opinion, who has years of experience in budgets, years of experience in, municipal guidelines, and innovative work on where you can invest money, where you're going to make money, and our former VSO did that along with Ian Shackney. So they invested, and we got a good return on money there. Plus the fact we have 2 schools. Do we not educate children? Of course, we educate our children. And, Diamond, I know there was a lot of controversy about, well, now we're going to build Diamond. But, let's take Auto Body Shop. Years ago, you'd lift the hood of a car and you'd see everything, right? Today, you lift the hood of a car and everything is computerized. For those students to get good jobs in that field, they have to be trained, and then you look at plumbers and electricians. We need them. The city was going to hire an electrician for $60,000. We needed 2. What electrician is going to work for $60,000 a year?
Yep. Now if they have their own business and what they're trying, right? Yeah.
Or if they're an apprentice with somebody else, they're going to make more than 60.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were able to pay a little bit more, got somebody in, and they're doing a great job. Matter of fact, yesterday I called them on the phone because I was driving around the city, and I saw Chris Hathaway and the electric department, our electrician, fixing street lights and going around. And I called them and said, I've seen you all over, and I just want to say thank you because, it's hard work.
Yeah.
And they repaired a light on a street that hadn't been there for years, and the woman called me to thank me and said, please thank them. So I did.
Yeah.
I said, that resident said thank you.
Yeah.
Because I think they need to hear positive.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people come in front of the council, department heads, it's almost like a grilling. Hey, we're all on the same team. We're trying to work together. And I'm, I'm guilty of that because sometimes I get so frustrated. Like, what do you mean I got to pay more for water? People can't afford this, So it's a balancing act.
Councilor Linda Pereira, I do appreciate your time as always. All the best, and we'll talk again soon. I appreciate
Keith,
it.
thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right. And thank you for joining us here at FRC Media. Please make a point to vote on Tuesday, November 4th.